Forget about everything that you've been told about the perfect, heart healthy diet. The Mediterranean diet works until you can't afford the fresh fish and olive oil every week. Keto diet reverses plaques until you burn out on bacon after 3 months. The vegan diet approach shows promise until social dinners become impossible to navigate and you're left eating plain salad while everybody else enjoys their meal. Here's the uncomfortable truth that cardiologists rarely admit: the best diet is the one you'll actually follow. A nutrition plan that's 70% optimal but sustainable for life, that will save your arteries better than a perfect protocol that you abandon after 6 months. I've watched countless people cycle through restrictive eating plans, achieving impressive initial results, of course, only to regain all their progress when real life inevitably interferes. After years of noticing people use food as medicine, I've seen rigid diets fail entirely. And so I focus on high yield foods that appear repeatedly across cardiovascular research, the nutritional greatest hits that matter most for unclogging your arteries. These foods work regardless of whether you eat keto, vegan, Mediterranean, or something else. The goal isn't to chase the next trending diet, but to identify the specific foods that keep showing up again and again across all the major studies and meta analysis on heart disease. Then make sure you incorporate them into whatever eating pattern works best for your lifestyle. As we explore these foods in this video, I'll also highlight products marketed as heart healthy that you need to be cautious with. The wolves in sheep's clothing of the nutritious world. That's what I call it. And stick with me to the end, where I'm going to share the single most effective exercise protocol and a powerful supplement strategy, both backed by solid evidence that can help you reverse plaques even faster than dietary changes alone can. Before I dive into specific foods, I need you to understand how arterial plaques actually form. This knowledge allows you to tailor interventions with precision to your individual circumstances, because everybody's risk factors are different, and what works for one person may not work for you. It's just that simple. Plaque buildup isn't caused by a single villain like high cholesterol, elevated blood sugar, or high blood pressure. It's not even inflammation alone. Arterial plaque formation is a complex process requiring a perfect storm of multiple factors working together. It starts with injury to the thin layer of cells lining the inner surface of your blood vessels. Think of this endothelial layer as the protective wallpaper for your arteries. Once it's damaged, LDL particles can slip through the vessel walls like water seeping through cracks. But the damage doesn't stop there. Inflammation then oxidizes these trapped LDL particles, fundamentally changing their structure and making them dangerous. This oxidation triggers your immune system to step in and attempt to repair the damage, which sounds helpful in theory, but unfortunately, instead of fixing the problem, your immune response actually causes the plaque to grow even larger. And here's where it becomes a vicious cycle. The more oxidative stress in your arterial environment, the more this entire process repeats itself, building plaques layer by layer. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it reveals what your dietary strategy must accomplish. You need foods that target all these pathways simultaneously, reducing inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system, improving the nitric oxide production, which lowers blood pressure and protects that critical endothelial layer, and finally calming down the overreactive immune response that's paradoxically making things worse. Let's now talk about the solution to all of this. And we will begin with foods rich in lycopene, a compound found primarily in red and pink fruits and vegetables. You'll get abundant lycopene from tomatoes and guava, as well as watermelon, pink grapefruit, and papayas. Why does lycopene matter? It's an incredibly powerful antioxidant. And since one of the main drivers of plaque formation is oxidative stress, leading to cell damage, lycopene can reverse this process by targeting harmful reactive oxygen species. Think of reactive oxygen species as molecular sparks that damage everything they touch. Lycopene acts like a fire extinguisher, neutralizing these sparks before they can cause inflammation and accelerate plaque growth. I hope that explains it. The next category includes nuts, flax seeds, legumes, sesame seeds, whole grains, carrots, avocados, leafy vegetables, and broccoli. When you consume these foods regularly, you'll experience lower cholesterol levels, but here's where it gets interesting. That's not actually where the magic happens. Most people assume that dietary cholesterol is the main culprit. But when it comes to cholesterol in our blood, the majority doesn't come from the cholesterol we eat. It's the cholesterol produced internally by our liver that matters most. Here's how this process works. When your liver senses a drop in cholesterol from dietary changes, it doesn't just accept the lower levels, because your liver constantly tries to maintain its own cholesterol balance. It compensates by pulling more LDL particles out of your bloodstream to maintain balance. That's what the liver does. Over time, though, this mechanism means you have fewer LDL particles carrying a polypoprotein B moving through the arteries. This is critically important because LDL, and more precisely the ApoB it carries, has been definitely shown to cause heart disease. Reducing these particles is one of the most powerful interventions that you can make. Another essential category for plaque reversal is flavonoids, natural compounds found abundantly in fruits like berries, apples, green apples specifically, and oranges. You can also find them in onions and leafy greens. And there's a particularly high concentration in dark chocolate, which makes this intervention more enjoyable than most. Here's how flavonoids work at the molecular level. When plaque builds up in your blood vessels, the process begins with LDL particles getting trapped and damaged in the inner lining of your arteries. These trapped LDL particles start oxidizing, which makes the entire area extremely sticky from a biochemical perspective. White blood cells are drawn to the sticky area like magnets, and they trigger inflammation as part of their normal immune response. This inflammatory process is what makes the plaque continue growing over time. Flavonoids interrupt this cycle by lowering adhesion molecule expression. In practical terms, they make your arterial walls less sticky, so fewer inflammatory cells can attach in the first place. This reduces inflammation and helps white blood cells work in a calmer, more controlled manner, preventing them from turning LDL into its damaged and oxidized form that accelerates plaque growth. One subset of flavonoids deserves special attention: the compounds found in green and black teas. A comprehensive meta-analysis examining 9 prospective studies demonstrated that drinking three or more cups of green or black tea daily is associated with 21% reduced risk of stroke compared to consuming less than 1 cup per day. That's a substantial risk reduction from a simple, affordable beverage. Now, extra virgin olive oil is another powerful nutrient that appears consistently across cardiovascular research. Studies show that high intake is associated with significant reductions in major cardiovascular events like heart attacks and stroke. The key is that olive oil contains very high levels of polyphenols, which possess both antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. These polyphenols help smooth out and repair the damaged endothelium, which is that critical inner lining of your arteries that we discussed earlier. Beyond endothelial protection, olive oil may also improve insulin sensitivity and reduce systemic inflammation, creating multiple pathways for cardiovascular benefit. It's worth noting also that not all olive oils are created equal. So you're going to look for extra virgin varieties, ideally in dark bottles that protect against light degradation, and consider this a worthy investment in your long-term health. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines round out the essential foods list. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, which are incredibly important for keeping your heart and your blood vessels healthy. Clinical studies consistently show that people eating fatty fish 1 to 3 times per week have a lower risk of heart disease and strokes compared to those who rarely consume fish. The omega-3 fatty acids work through multiple mechanisms. They calm down the immune response that aggravates existing plaques, and they also can increase your nitric oxide production, which stabilizes plaques and make them less likely to rupture and cause dangerous clots and downstream cardiovascular events. I hope you're getting something from this video. I know it's a lot to consume. If you have to listen to the video over again, please do so. But this information is vital, and I'm consuming it with you. So let's continue. It's not enough to eat the right foods. It's equally important to limit certain foods, especially those that promote inflammation and oxidative stress. This may not seem obvious, but we need to be particularly careful with processed carbohydrates like pastries, cereals, and any foods loaded with sugar or fructose. Let me highlight some of the most common offenders that I see. These are foods promoted as heart healthy, but are actually harming you. Flavored yogurts. Many are packed with added sugar, sometimes containing as much sugar as a candy bar. It's far better to buy plain full-fat yogurt and add your own sweetener of choice for taste. This gives you control over both the type and the amount of sweetener while preserving the beneficial probiotics and protein. Breakfast cereals and healthy alternatives, another culprit. Most people now recognize that typical breakfast cereals are basically dessert, just processed sugars in a box. But there are alternatives that masquerade as healthy options while not being much better. I'm talking about many breakfast bars and granola bars that come in packaging covered with images of wholesome grains, and active people always read the ingredient labels carefully, as many of these products are still packed with sugar, just with more appealing marketing. The next one is fruit juices. This is a sneaky one. I always emphasize it. Whether you're drinking apple juice, orange juice, or any other type of juice, you're probably consuming significant amounts of added sugars. But even if the label proudly states no added sugars or only natural sugars, these sugars may be natural, but they're still absorbed in a highly concentrated form that spikes your blood sugar. Another problem with juices is that they don't come with the protective fiber we would normally get from eating fresh, whole fruit. This fiber slows sugar absorption and feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Fresh fruits are wonderful and genuinely heart healthy, but it's extremely easy to overconsume sugars and fructose when you're getting them in liquid form, when you're blending even smoothies. You'd never sit down and eat 4 oranges in 5 minutes, but you can easily drink that much orange juice without thinking twice. Exercise is universally acknowledged as important for heart health, but there's one specific type of exercise where we actually have direct evidence showing it can reverse arterial plaques, not just prevent them, but actively shrink existing plaques. A randomized controlled trial published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology demonstrated that just 6 months of supervised high-intensity interval training produced significant reductions in plaque volume. What was especially remarkable about this study is that the plaque volume regression after 6 months of this exercise protocol was slightly larger than what researchers observed with statin medication intervention. Think about that for a moment. We're talking about an exercise protocol that matches or exceeds the plaque regression achieved by one of the most commonly prescribed medications in cardiovascular medicine. This doesn't mean that you should stop taking statins if it's prescribed. The combination of both the exercise and the statins would likely be even more powerful, but it demonstrates just how potent targeted exercise can be. High intensity training typically involves short bursts of very intense exercise alternated with recovery periods. This might look like 30 seconds of all-out effort followed by 90 seconds of moderate activity, repeated for 20 to 30 minutes. The intensity is what triggers the cardiovascular adaptations that lead to plaque regression. One additional tactic that I recommend that may help improve cardiovascular health is sauna therapy, believe it or not. I want to be transparent here though. This isn't something where we have direct evidence showing plaque stabilization or regression with sauna use specifically. However, there's substantial indirect evidence that's compelling enough to consider. Multiple studies show a clear link between regular sauna bathing and improvements in endothelial function. That critical inner lining we talked about of your blood vessels, we keep coming back to it. Additionally, meta-analysis demonstrate that sauna use can help lower blood pressure through mechanisms involving improved blood vessel flexibility and stress reduction. Based on the current evidence, even though it's not perfect, I still think sauna therapy is a worthwhile intervention to try if you have access to sauna facilities. There's no harm in trying. Many gyms offer saunas, and home infrared saunas have become more affordable in recent years if you can afford it. The path to arterial health isn't about perfection or following the latest dietary trend. It's about consistently incorporating these evidence-based foods we just discussed into whatever eating pattern works best for your life, combining them with high intensity in interval training and potentially adding sauna therapy if it's accessible to you. Remember, sustainability trumps perfection every single time. A good plan you can follow for decades will always outperform a perfect plan that you abandon after a few months. Choose the high-yield interventions that fit your lifestyle. Stick with them consistently, and your arteries will thank you for years to come. I hope you got some value from this video. I really do. And if so, then you would love the free ebook that I'm offering only today, and it's how to reset your body with natural remedies to improve your health. In that ebook, you will discover 5 healing detox recipes to balance blood sugar naturally. Then it comes with 5 bonus smoothie blends for all-day energy, the exact ingredients I use to support healthy blood sugar, and a sneak peek inside my diabetes wellness bundle. Grab it now from the first link in the description. You'll thank me for it. And please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video coming up, where I'm going to share more tips for a better health journey. Thank you so much for watching and staying with me till the end. And I'll see you in the next video.